I think it's all about the mind. That mindset is half of it.
Yes.
It's, I think, the hard part.
This is the Behind the Sound podcast where we talk to producers, engineers, artists, and other creatives alike. Hosted by Sean Gray and Mamek. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm good, bro. It's been a long time since I've seen you guys in person.
Yeah.
But it's a good time.
How long has it been? It's been a little minute. Maybe like a month? About?
Probably around there. Yeah, I'll see Sean here and there.
Yeah.
At like in between sessions. Same with you, Mamek.
Yeah. I feel that.
Sean will call me for files.
Weird, but yeah, welcome to the podcast, man.
Thank you guys.
Yeah,
It's good to be here.
For the people that don't know, introduce yourself, man. Let us know who you are, what you do.
Yeah, my name's Dion. Dion French. Some people call me French.
Do you speak French?
Sometimes I call myself French. No, I'm terrible at French. But yeah, I'm an audio engineer, musician, producer in some regard. You know, I just like helping people make music that they really like to listen to.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know? So,
Nice.
Yeah, I've been working here at Orange freelance for about the same amount of time as Sean.
Yeah.
Like, I was coming to assist sessions with Anthony in 2019. My first session here was with Louval,
Yeah.
where I learned how to use Melodyne, kind of.
How did you get there? How did you start?
How'd you meet Anthony?
Anthony. Okay, so we're going way back.
Yeah.
I want to go like way back,
Yeah.
but like just because we're on the topic,
Okay,
like how did you start at Orange?
So fast forward, I was 21 years old. And basically, I got in touch with Anthony through a friend of mine who knew that he was starting a studio downtown in Toronto. And so I reached out to him and I sent him like a list of songs that I produced and mixed on SoundCloud. I was like, hey man, like I want to work for you. I like lied about knowing how to like solder cables and all this like engineer shit, right? But like I didn't know shit. Yeah, so he's like, yeah man, come by my place on Tuesday. This is my address. I was like, oh, that was easy. People will talk about like sending cold calls, cold emails all the time. Like
Anthony was accessible.
yeah, bro. It's like I got lucky.
Yeah.
I was hitting up like solo studios, if you will, like not like commercial places.
Yeah.
I hit up Metalworks just because like that's kind of a thing you do when you're trying to figure out what to do here
Yeah.
in this industry, you know?
Facts.
But yeah, Anthony took me under his wing and set up multiple sort of meetings to kind of vet his interns, his assistants, right?
Yeah.
That's where I met Sean for the first time. It was
So you guys
probably
were both interning for Anthony at the same time.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Roughly.
Jeez.
Yeah. But the thing is, at least I didn't know that there were other interns that he was like considering.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't realize we were like in competition until the day we like 10 of us pulled up to his house.
So this guy Anthony's basically running like a boot camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Dang,
Yeah.
that's crazy. That must have been lit though.
Yeah, bro. It was cool because he would give each of us like he would have us come out to a session. I can only speak from my experience, but it seemed like he was giving me his full attention. Right? Like he wasn't like thinking about what another intern might do or something like that. Right? But he was there and it taught me a lot about seeing how he worked in his sessions. Taught me a lot about like just being present with an artist, helping them make the music as good as
Yeah, he's
it
so
can.
good. He's good at that.
He's
Really
like a
good at
master
that.
director, bro. It's
Yeah.
insane. Shout out to Anthony, bro.
Yeah, should have been Anthony.
Anthony Jordan.
The amount of stuff you learn just from just like watching him just do the craft is crazy.
And I think the reason why he is so good is because he doesn't stop learning. Like you think that you've gotten up to Anthony and then you sit in on a session with him or he'll tell you like the things that he's learning and you're like, bro, what?
Yeah.
Damn. I'm gonna have to like sharpen my skills some more, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's also because he doesn't box himself
No.
into one specific category. Like for people that don't know, like Anthony, like he's an artist, producer, engineers, does everything.
Yeah.
So it's like once you do all of that, like you're obviously gonna keep learning more and more because you're just in different rooms every single day.
Exactly.
So yeah, shout out to Anthony.
And for those that don't know, Anthony has already done an episode, so you can go back and listen to Anthony's interview that we had with him.
What was it, like episode 3?
Plug.
I think it was episode 4.
Yeah.
No, you're right. It was episode 3 because he was part of the launch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah,
But-
so you guys are having boot camps, right?
Yeah. Anthony was really good at teaching. Just do it. Like don't think about how to do it or anything. Just like sit in the chair and be like, listen to what they need, right? And that'll direct the session for you. That'll help you direct the session. I spent about like maybe a year, 9 to 10 months going to Anthony's a lot consistently. But about 6 months in, I pulled up to his house one day. He's like, hey man, like I have to go to the studio. You want to come with? I'm like, I've been waiting for you to ask me, bro. So we come. It's like super late at night. I think we had finished a recording session at his old apartment. And I meet Lou. And I didn't know who he was or anything like that. And I heard the music, bro. It was Soul Catcher.
Yeah.
And that EP that came out a couple years back.
The two singles.
The 2-pack, yeah.
The Soul Catcher and Me to You.
Yeah,
Me
bro.
Too is like my favorite. From
That
them.
music literally changed my life.
Yeah. Same, bro.
So shout out to Lou.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah. It was really cool because that was the first time like I met someone who's like a full-time artist and got to like humanize them in a way where I always looked up to like big artists. I love music, right? Growing up and stuff. So I always wondered what it would be like to meet one of these people in person and talk about the stories that they share in their music.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And it was cool to just meet Lou. Like he's so chill, so like open, so
He's
like
a great example of a person to meet too, though. They talk about like when you meet your heroes, like you'll be disappointed or whatnot.
Yeah.
Like Lou Val is such like a genuine human being that's like if you have the example of meeting him as like a person that's like an artist, like you have you probably have a high chance of like being disappointed meeting other people just because it's like he's like a standout of like how people, you know what I mean, type of thing.
He's definitely like the outlier.
Yeah, exactly.
in
Very
so many
creative.
ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Growing up, right, like in the crib and stuff, like were you surrounded by music like in the household, like with your parents and stuff?
All
or?
the time. Even to this day, my dad's always blasting music.
Word.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What type-
On the couch in the living room. Like,
What type of music did you like kind of grow up like hearing around the crib?
to be honest, it was mostly like 2000 soft rock. I remember one of my first songs that I would call like one of my favorites growing up was a song by Nickelback.
I listen to Nickelback too.
Yeah, it was when you're a kid, bro. It's just good vibes, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably still good vibes. I haven't listened to them in a while, but people always trash Nickelback for some reason. But yeah, it was like Nickelback, John Mayer, and then when I started to branch off into like my own taste, it was like Weezer and Green Day. So I had my first album ever was the Blue album by Weezer, and then I got the American Idiot album, and I would read like the inside the album cover had all the lyrics, so I would study that while I was listening to the songs and then like recite it at school. And like I was like cursing when I didn't know I was cursing. I was in grade like 2 and my teacher's like, who taught you that? Yeah A couple times like I got in trouble from like I had a babysitter. I was just singing songs and these Weezer songs had like swear words in them, and then she would tell my dad like I didn't even know I did anything wrong, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that was kind of the music. A lot of guitar heavy stuff.
Nice.
And I think that kind of transitioned into like just my taste growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my dad plays, I get all my love for music, well, most of it I'd say from my pops. He's an insane drummer, piano player, guitar player.
Wow, multi-instrumentalist.
Nice.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy that's like, I'm very fond of him. So yeah, but he's the kind of guy that's like, he doesn't have like any technical knowledge about music. Like if you asked him to explain a concept to you, like, he couldn't. But if he's hearing a song, he'll pick it up, like, and like he'll get creative with it. And
So he just has a crazy ear.
yeah, he's got good feel for like the music. It's almost like if there's a surfer riding a wave, like you catch a wave and then you just take the momentum wherever it takes you, you know? So he's like that musically. So he was always trying to get me into music from a young age, and I didn't want to because I'm stubborn.
What did you want to do at the time?
Shit, I probably just wanted to play Call of Duty, man.
Be a pro gamer or something?
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, same.
Yeah. Trick
I
shotting
feel,
and all
I
that.
feel like we all had that point period of time.
Yeah.
Did that like consume like a lot of like your earlier years, like kind of like school and video games and stuff like that? Type of
Yeah.
thing?
My parents actually didn't really let me play video games all that much, but when I did, I would go crazy. Like I would just like OD, you know. But I did a lot of martial arts growing up. I did
Nice.
taekwondo, and it's something I still love.
Yeah.
Martial arts in general. So that took up a lot of time, a lot of like organized activities. So I didn't really want to do music as much because my dad was like, "Oh, you should play music too, right? Learn guitar." As I matured, you know, I kind of just explored and tried things for myself and got into music a lot when I was in like high school. And I remember the first time I ever considered doing engineering or working in a studio for a living. I was in
Yeah.
grade 10. And we were on a field trip and we went to Metalworks. And I saw that people were like sitting behind this big SSL console for a living. And like they were manipulating the sound that I would see in like TV and commercials. So that was like, I remember the feeling like, oh, I should do this.
Mm.
And then I also remember like the bus ride home, like, oh, they don't make enough money.
Mm.
So that
Who said that the don't
me,
make it?
I would,
Oh.
because the lady was explaining like the average salaries or whatever, something like that.
What is the average salary?
I guess it depends where an engineer falls and like what they're doing. Like if you're an on-staff engineer for a studio, it might be a little bit different versus if you're a freelancer versus if you're on staff for a company. So it's really hard to say. I know some engineers are making 6 figures plus. Some are in the millions because they're doing really, really well. And then, but on average, I would say like most 80% of engineers are probably under 50K.
Mm.
So it's not a lot.
Yeah, if you're staffed
Yeah.
on a contract or something like that. But then that's the cool thing about engineering. It's like a profession where you can learn the skills and apply them separate to any like official employment that you have.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these 6-figure earners or successful people in the engineering field, like they have their own business.
Yeah.
Right? And it's literally the same as what you would do at like a job, but now you're just doing it like on your own terms with people you want to work with and
Yeah.
on the work you want to do.
I think a lot, like the guys who are making a lot of more money, who are making like 6 figures plus, is they have multiple streams of income. So it's not just they're behind a board for 8 hours a day. It doesn't really work like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no real like average salary really. It's all over the place, and it depends where you go to. Like especially if you're in a local city that doesn't have a lot of studio or a big music scene, you're not making money, bro. Straight up.
Yeah.
I mean, you might be,
unless you tax your clients.
or if you're really good and
Right.
you've built a name for yourself
Yeah.
online, remotely doing work that way, then that's the exception. But
Yeah. So they didn't
it's
make,
something you wanted to do.
yeah, it was like, you know, you're a kid and you're like, oh, that's cool. You
Yeah.
know, I want to do that more. Right. And
Wow. So you were like in like, cause you said grade 10,
yeah.
right? So you were in high school and then like you saw like the SSL board and then like, cause like you mentioned your hobbies prior were like, you were around like your parents playing like music and stuff like that. And then like you were playing video games and whatnot. And then so like between that time and high school, you were doing like martial arts, and then you went and you saw like a SSL board, and you're like, "This looks sick. I want to do that."
Yeah. Well, I guess to give some segue into that field trip, I had started taking a guitar class at school as like my extra credit.
Yeah,
So I was actually learning guitar at like my own pace, kind of, and as like my own decision. So it was like, oh shit, I love music,
yeah,
right? Let me do like more music.
Yeah.
And if this is a career path, then fuck, why not? You know,
Word.
yeah, but then, you know, I got all in my like head about it, like, oh, they don't make enough money, that's unrealistic, or some weird shit like that. Right? Here we are.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was in uni, fast forward to university, and I was just exploring like different things in life, and one of my homies I was really close with, had brought up the idea of recording songs for fun. And so I downloaded FL Studio that summer, started making beats, sampling my own guitar off my like iPhone mic and all that, and just having fun with it.
Yeah. What did you go to university for?
I did mechanical engineering at Western
Okay.
and finished it. But while I was in that curriculum, I was like just all my other free time. I didn't really do much school. Like I was very much like bare minimum when it came to school. Not exactly breeze to it. Like
but
there were a lot of all
get
nighters.
through it.
Yeah, I just want to get this over with. Type of thing and do other things, right? So yeah, that's where the music came in. And I remember like I was not even graduated yet, and like all my classmates are like talking about like, oh, I gotta get an internship here. Like I want to do this type of engineering or whatever. And I was like, all right, well, we'll try and work at a studio, like and record songs.
Like, not at all what you studied.
Yeah, like I remember I would be at the library in a study group with other people making beats, and other people were like doing calculus and shit. They're like, yo, what are you doing? Is that a video game? Kind of.
Oh man, that's the worst. When people that don't understand like FL or Pro Tools and they look at your screen, they think you're playing games or something.
Oh man. I remember sitting on the GO train one day with Pro Tools open, and some person was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, making music," and they're like, "On that thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, we forget that like in our world, in our heads, and like the way we communicate with other like musicians, engineers, producers, anybody in the scene, like everybody kind of like understands like what FL and stuff like that is. But like there's like a big percentage of people that are just like consumers of music that have no idea what goes into it. So like they don't know what the mic is. They don't know like anything of that sort. So they see you on a computer and they're like, what is that?
They look something that's not their fucking email.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like
that doesn't look like Google. Like what?
Yeah, like they're looking for a number or some clue to indicate what it might be, and they just see waveforms.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What is this guy scribbling for?
Fucking meters jumping around.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were at Western, just not really taking it seriously, but you finished it.
Yeah.
So what
made you go to Western for that? Why not just go straight
the salary?
into gotcha.
Yeah.
So was that like more so influenced by yourself or like kind of like your parents too?
Parents?
Yeah.
Definitely. It's kind of like, they have high expectations, and so you kind of want to, you believe that in your own way, and then a reflection of like success is like how much annual money you make, right?
Yeah.
So in high school, when you went to this metalworks and then you saw that you wanted to do engineering, did you tell your parents that at the time?
Yeah, I talked to my dad about it. I don't remember the specific conversation, but I remember him being like very like enthusiastic. He's like, "Oh yeah, you went to a studio. That's so cool." Yeah. He's like always been like super supportive.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
So when you graduated university, then and then you, I guess like you didn't go into the path that you wanted to, that you went to school for. How did your parents feel about that at the time?
They trusted me, but they were unsure of what I was doing. But I remember having a lot of conversations with them, kind of just explaining like my plan, right? And trying to just break it down into like tangible steps. Because like we're talking about with like the earnings of an engineer, some people are on a salary at a studio or for a company doing contract work. Some people are just completely freelance, right? So it's like there's not fixed steps like there is in like a conventional education system.
Yeah.
But when I'm trying to articulate it to people who think in that way, it's like, okay, I kind of have to like set goals for myself during this conversation and say like, yeah, like, I'm going to get 10 clients, record out of my bedroom. There'll be like family barbecues going on in the back, but like if I have someone driving from Scarborough to come record on my USB microphone, like that's what I need to do, right? I got to take time away from the family barbecue, right?
Exactly.
And yeah, bro, fuck. I remember people would sit on my bed because I only had room for one chair in my room.
Yeah.
So I had rappers sitting on the edge of my bed, recording hunched over USB microphone.
Oh my.
And I thought I knew what I was doing.
Hey, you always know what you're doing until somebody tells you you don't.
Yeah, facts.
You know what I mean?
Facts.
Yeah.
Stay a student.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like that. I like that you said that.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Because it's like if you think about it, you know what I mean? It's like you only know what you know.
Yeah.
So it's like,
You have to be open to it too.
yeah,
Yeah, you can't just be like, I fucking know everything.
exactly. So you had people rapping like on the bed, like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
How long ago was this?
It was probably like right before I started while I was working with Anthony.
Really?
Basically, yeah, like I started working with Anthony and I was like, okay, this is his setup. I'm going to record on Pro Tools. And then I realized that, sorry, FL Studio.
Yeah.
And then I realized like Anthony's like a wizard with Pro Tools. So like I need to get like that.
Yeah.
Right. And then started using Pro Tools. So, yeah.
To see how like efficient he is and whatnot.
Yeah, man.
That was the same thing with me because I was using FL at first. Because like I started off from producing.
I'm so sorry. It's so funny, bro. When people are recording on FL, it's so funny.
Hey, I've seen people do some
difficult.
magic with FL.
I don't know how they do it, bro, because
I've seen some people
it's
do
impressive.
some magic
It is
with
impressive.
FL. Yeah. So like I wouldn't count it out, but like I was using FL to produce, and then like I remember I used to work retail, and I had like a coworker that wanted to rap, and we used to go to like a studio like in Etobicoke, and like I was recording out of FL and whatnot, and I stayed into like a session with him, and I'm seeing like the screen go left, right, up, down, like going crazy and like recording and then like everything like that mad quick, and I was like, I can't even put words to it. And I was like, yo, whatever program this is, I need to get this like today. Because it was like the same difference. Same, like that feeling that you had watching Anthony, like that's the same thing I felt watching Sean.
Yeah, which I learned from Anthony.
Have you guys tried Ableton, recording in Ableton?
No.
I looked at Ableton like screen and then closed it.
It looks like Microsoft. It looks like a Microsoft program.
I felt like I was coding. I was like, it felt like, you know how they describe like the computers back in the day.
Yeah.
Like with
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
blocky design.
That's how I felt about
That's
it.
what it felt like. I was like,
Windows
I'm not
2000,
doing
bro.
this. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was like,
that's what I get.
I mean, Pro Tools kind of feels like that, no? Feels like it's made in the 90s.
But like, at least it's a little,
Yeah.
they've modernized it a little bit now.
Yeah.
It looks a little better. Since working with Anthony, what are some of the other things that you've kind of learned or accomplishments that you've achieved?
Starting with the things I've learned, I think probably the most important thing I learned was how to talk to people in a creative environment that's like encouraging, you know? And like, even if you have a disagreeing idea, you can communicate it in a way that like is additive to the process instead of being like, no, I think we should do this.
Yeah.
Anthony's like really good at that.
Yeah. He's
And-
very careful with his words
Yeah.
when
I
giving
wonder
someone
how it
feedback.
would sound, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
instead of saying, now let's do this.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes it depends on who you're working with, and especially working in a studio where you never know who you're going to like meet that day. It's important to like, I guess, be gentle with your communication, you know? So that was the biggest takeaway, I think, that I learned from
I think
him.
that's one of the key takeaways for like anybody engineering, because like as much as being quick and fast like on the computer, like a lot of people forget about that other aspect of just like communication, and it's like that's the thing that I personally feel has customers coming back,
Yeah.
because like you could go down the street and find any fast engineer, and it's like
Yeah.
to find somebody that you vibe with.
Vibe is
like,
Yeah.
that's like the most important part, in my opinion.
the
at
biggest
least.
thing.
I think, yeah, because I'm not going to say any names though, but I think we all know someone who isn't the fastest, but is a very great communicator and has solid clients that keep coming back to him. And there's lots of people like that. And even though the skills aren't up here, the communication is immaculate, and he's great at creating that vibe. So I think that
It
comes
makes up.
first, right? It does make up for the skills. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is all about the vibe. Like, especially like as an engineer, it's easy for us to sometimes think like on a more technical side, or like, oh, we should put this reverb on a send, as opposed to just slapping it on the track.
Yeah.
Like the vibe is something you can't see. It's not like a knob you can turn or a dial you can measure, right? So every second you take away from optimizing the creative process, like it creates ruts in the vibe.
Yeah.
If you want to like take the time to stop the session and put a send on for a reverb and a cool effect that the artist might not even like, like that takes away from the flow of things, and it's all about that momentum, right?
Or
Exactly.
like in that instance, like that should maybe be already installed into your template.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that you have quick and easy access to that idea that you may have.
Yeah.
But
we're actually going to cover that in a workshop pretty soon, right?
Yeah, super brief. So we're actually starting a vocal recording workshop that's going to be hosted here at the Orange Lounge in Studio B or Studio A. We're not sure yet.
For producers, engineers, songwriters, anybody looking to create recordings.
Yeah, and like you said, to optimize your workflow, that is going to be October 8th from 12 p.m. till 6 p.m. Tickets are going to be about $150. The link will be www.gravymixes.com/workshop.
So afterwards, right? So you obviously aren't Anthony's intern anymore, right? And like you're now like engineering, you have your own clients, and I believe you started your own studio, right? Okay.
I have.
Yeah.
Studio Seldom.
Yeah.
Nice.
East End, Mississauga, just south of the airport.
What does seldom mean to you?
Oh, a few things. It's a brand I started with some close friends of mine, mainly serving as a label at the moment, creative company, and we want to branch into merch and events hosting. But seldom means to me deep roots that spread wide. So that's why the tree is our logo.
Nice.
Wow, that is deep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll put up a logo.
Yeah,
We'll put up a logo.
You guys a logo. Yeah, so we just want to, I guess, impact a lot of different things in a cool way that's just like genuine and unique in the music sphere, the creative sphere.
Yeah. Nice.
Fashion. It also stands for something that's hard to find. The definition of the word seldom, something that is very rare. We just took the vowels out because that's like a thing you do.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's just the thing you do. I like that.
Yeah. And to me, it also means say less, do more. I saw that on the Roy Woods tour. Shout out to Roy Woods for inspiring me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just about, I'm a firm believer on manifesting things, but you like to manifest things, you so quote unquote speak things into existence, but you have to do so in a way where your actions lead that act of speaking, bringing something into existence. So yeah, it's all about the mind. That mindset is half of it.
Yes,
it's I think the hard part, honestly, to like continuously have that mindset of growth and abundance and stuff. For me, the action is the easier part. Because I feel like if I'm just sitting on my ass, like I'm just wasting away.
Yeah,
so I gotta go do stuff.
There's gonna be those days where you're motivated, your self-talk game it's on fire, and it's easy to take action on those days. But then you're gonna have days where you're not on fire, your brain isn't there, you may be feeling a little under the weather, and you've maybe set these goals for yourself, and now you don't want to take action. But I think it's about having the discipline as well to take action no matter what headspace you are in.
Facts.
Yeah.
So I actually want to go off of that because it's a very, very important topic to me, and I'm sure it is to you guys.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
the idea of like sort of mental or like spiritual maintenance in a, I guess, a career or a profession that's so dynamic, right? Sometimes you're up late, sometimes you're not, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to be on one part of the city. Next time, like someone's canceled a session or something, and now you just got to work with what you've got.
Yeah.
Like, do you guys think it's like crucial to sort of make sure you allocate like time every day to kind of like keep yourself, I guess, maintained? Like a well-oiled machine.
Oh
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I was a believer for a very long time though that like it wasn't necessary until like you have that moment that shows you it's necessary. And what that was for me was like I kind of like I guess it was a crash. I don't know what a crash feels like.
You
but,
burn
like,
out.
Yeah, something like that. And like I had a point period of time where like literally I would sit there on my computer trying to make a beat or trying to work, and like just nothing was like working, and like it went on for like a 3-4 days period of time,
Mm.
and it was like it felt weird to me. I was like, yo, ideas are usually just like jumping around my brains like every second. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it is very important because like your brain needs that rest because like it's working very hard in what we do. It feels like it's nothing though because we're just like we're working in a creative space where it's like it's just our brains that are kind of like coming up with ideas and it feels like we're not doing anything because it's not physical labor, but our brains are working very hard creating whatever we're creating. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
For myself right now, I'm dedicate the first 4 hours of my day for what I need to do. Those first 4 hours consist of taking the dogs for a walk, getting out and getting my blood going as soon as I wake up, getting back and reading, working out. From there, eat breakfast, get ready type thing. So those 4 hours of my day are blocked off, and I'm extremely selfish in that capacity because that's me time. Nobody else can interrupt that. No clients, unless it's super urgent. But yeah, those 4 hours are blocked off for me. That's just how I go about it, because then when I do attend a session or I have a Zoom call with the client, I'm sharp, I'm ready to go, even though I just spent, a good chunk of my day, doing exercise and stuff. But no, it really helps. And that's how I maintain this well-oiled machine. And I'm trying to get better at it as we go.
Do you have like a routine that you like follow every morning, or is it kind of just like that first 4 hours you do whatever you want to do?
No, the first 4 hours is like wake up, we'll walk the dogs, get back, read. After I finish reading, I work out, and then the rest of that time is if I can squeeze in some meditation, then I'll do that, and then otherwise it's breakfast, shower, get ready. Yeah, that's it. It's pretty much the same almost every morning.
Word.
Yeah.
What about you? How do you feel?
Yeah, I think that shit is crucial, bro. And it's almost like placing one building block every day to like build like a solid like foundation, you could call it, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, I get up in the morning. It's about an hour and a half. Like I wake up and I meditate, and I have like affirmations or like prayers I go over. And make myself like a nice breakfast that I actually want to like eat if I can. Sometimes I have work in the morning or something like that.
Yeah.
So, you adjust where you need to. But I think for me, like the most important thing is that meditation and like the praying for me, bro, like, and journaling if I can.
Yeah.
I think the journaling, like for me, it's like almost like an overview of like my goals, because like, I don't know, doing a lot of different things. Sometimes it's easy to get like overwhelmed, at least for me. And, it's like a constant reminder, like, okay, that's where like the site is, so let's head that way.
When you're journaling, are you like writing out things that may have happened in your day, your thought process on something you're struggling with or you're looking forward to, or like what is your journaling gonna look like?
It's mostly, I start off with the things that are most on my mind, you could say.
Okay.
Oftentimes that are like, that's like maybe things that happened the day before or things that I know I have to do that day.
Right.
So it's kind of like a reframing of those events and be like, yeah, like almost like a pep talk for myself, I think, in a way, So it's cool.
Do you find it helps kind of help clear like cobwebs that you might be having?
Absolutely, man.
Or like any thought loops that you might be having?
Yeah. I think it's almost like making a song. The journaling is in a similar way where it's a creative outlet. Like I'll start and they just say like, just start writing something, right? And you can kind of, it'll just take you somewhere, right? Just like musical ideas, right?
Yeah. It's funny, when I was journaling, at one point, I journaled every day for like almost a year.
Wait, why'd you stop? Why did you start?
When I was 18. But I found it really helpful because, I just got rid of some of those cobwebs and, helped me process things that happened in the day it was a reflection of like when something that may have upset me that day or something I was struggling with, it made me think about it again and maybe think a bit differently. It challenged me to think about it. Okay, maybe that wasn't so bad, whatever this person said. Like maybe they were just having a tough day or whatever. But yeah, it really helped me with that sort of stuff. That's why I was like, does it clear the cobwebs? Because I know it did for me. Or like, what I started noticing, I was thinking the same sort of thought patterns. It was very negative when I first started journaling, extremely negative. Over time, I started, when I look back at those entries, I see, oh, okay, I started becoming more and more positive, and those thought patterns I actually escaped. But yeah,
You frame your like reality in a different way, kind of. That's pretty cool, man.
I feel like it's cool because it gives you a different perspective as to what's going on in your brain too, right?
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
your life.
exactly.
And it's like now you kind of get to witness yourself from an exterior point of view
yeah,
when you go back and read through it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I still have them too.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's like if you think about it, it's like you can literally look at it and kind of like watch yourself, like read yourself like a book,
yeah,
essentially, or
Yeah.
like because books are visual. Sometimes you can basically like watch your own movie,
exactly. Yeah,
and you look back at your day and you look back at different events and situations, and you'll be like, oh wow, I thought like that about that. Why didn't I think this?
Yeah.
Or like different things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I
I
heard
haven't
one.
really journaled myself, but like I can imagine what it's like.
Yeah.
Might tap into it now that you guys are
Yeah.
mentioning it. Though.
doesn't even have to be like a full page or anything. Just like,
Could be 2 lines.
bro, if you don't feel like journaling that day, like some days I didn't, I said I don't feel like journaling, and then
Yeah.
as soon as I started writing, I would go, okay, I'm gonna keep trying, and I would like you would see that in my writing. I'd go, oh, I'm gonna keep trying. Okay, let me talk about this.
Yeah.
So it kind of like pushes
So
you.
do you write every single thing that comes to your brain?
Almost,
It's like a self-conversation almost in a
yeah,
way.
you're having a conversation.
I do
with
this shit
yourself.
too. That's
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
Because I'll think of something, and then I go, oh, maybe I don't want to write about that because it came up, and then I'll go, no, okay, maybe I should talk about this, or maybe I should write that down.
Yeah.
Because you can, once you start, I feel like you could just keep going and going and
Yeah.
going, because your brain just doesn't stop, right?
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, I know, right?
What are some other things you guys kind of do to kind of like keep your heads like leveled with? Because like we know at least for us and other people in the industry, like music consumes a lot, and it's like consumes a lot of time and a lot of like brain and energy and stuff like that. So what do you guys kind of do to kind of like keep yourselves like level headed and like focused and whatnot?
That morning routine for sure. I think another thing that I do is I set those boundaries with clients because I want them to respect my time, and I have my own things and day to take care of. So
Yeah.
that's a big one for me to kind of just maintain focus and stuff. And scheduling shit. I try and schedule almost everything down to like 15 minutes because that helps me just figure out what I just need to do. It's I let it. I'm not like super strict about it, but I let it be like a
Guideline.
just be like a guideline. Like it just helps me stay organized on the things that I need to do. So like editing the podcast and I got this session with this client. Okay, make sure I do that. But everything's scheduled, so I know what I'm doing and I don't have to like think about it. Because I find like for myself, I strive off of structure, and as creative as I am, I want to like just do a million things, and my ADD just goes nuts. But when I can just open my calendar and go, okay, I'm supposed to be doing that right now, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
And I just do it. So it just
I
helps
feel
me
that.
kind of like, that's how I stay focused.
The accountability.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's similar to that, but also like different. Like I like doing different things. I find for me, I very much like a flow state.
Flow state, yeah.
And I think that's like achievable in pretty much like anything you do, whether it's like going to get groceries or walking your dog,
Yeah.
or conversations like this, right? And I
Yeah.
think I love that shit. Like just
Wait, what's a flow state for?
you're just in it, bro. We're just here. We're just doing it.
You're like not overthinking things. And
Yeah.
they say it takes about 20 minutes to achieve flow state. It's like second nature. It's like
It's like
driving
you're
your
like
car.
cruising
Yeah.
basically.
You know when you drive your car
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, I got to go to the studio. You just drive to the studio and you magically fucking get there. And like, you don't think about all the little things that you
Magically
need to
get there,
do.
You take your car.
But like, okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all that stuff. So
Got you.
And, like-
Also, like you get to wherever you need to get to, or
You know, I
like do
have to-
whatever you do without having to even think about it.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Like you're not even using brain effort.
So like we always want to achieve flow state when we get into like recording and mixing and stuff. We just want to be not mindlessly doing it, but doing it in a way that allows us to still be creative.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you like that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
That's like almost a perfect example of what it is flow state. If you take that car drive and make it like a mental thing with whatever activity you're doing, like you're just in it doing it. Like it's a very simple, I guess, way of saying it, but that's kind of what makes sense to me. I would say it's more so feeling out a situation than like thinking about how to do it or what's the right way, or you're kind of just doing it, right? Like
you're not thinking about the keyboard shortcut to do a specific task. You just do it.
Yeah.
Without thinking, oh, is it command spacebar or option spacebar? I can't remember. It's just you just do it and it's done.
So how do you achieve that flow state?
So for me, I'm learning this about myself now because I've recently started just trying different things, exploring different areas of life. And I find whatever it is that like I say I'm going to do, if I say I'm going to meet someone somewhere or do something with myself, it's just doing it. I guess once I'm in that process, like I'm approaching that like mental state of flow where we're kind of just like riding the wave. And I find that's a very like a rejuvenative thing mentally. I guess if I can give an example, like I was a barista at a cafe, and it's not work I find fulfilling necessarily. It's not something I enjoy. Like I don't do it for the money, but sometimes I'll find myself at work not enjoying the fact I'm at work. Like I'll be thinking like, oh, I could be a million other things. I'm doing other things than being here. And then there might be a person that comes by, I strike up a cool conversation with them, and I'm no longer thinking about like, oh shit, I should be somewhere else. Why am I here? Like I'm enjoying this conversation with this person. Taking that kind of A-B comparison to two different situations and applying that to like making music or meeting friends or whatever it is. I think that for me is like the most rejuvenative thing mentally I've come to find about myself. How about you, Mimic?
Yeah, what about you, bro?
I pray a lot, honestly.
Yeah.
Like that kind of like keeps me like focused, cause like a lot of times you get distracted based off of worry. And it's like when you're worrying about things, it's like you start worrying about a bunch of different things, and it's like a lot of the times those things aren't even like really relevant, but it's like sometimes they are relevant, and it's like in that moment you can't really think about that relevant thing because you're focused on another relevant thing. You know what I mean? So it's like whenever like I'll pray, I'm a believer that God like got me, you know what I mean? And it's like he's gonna have everything happen the way it's supposed to happen at the time it's supposed to happen. So it's like keeping me level-headed, and when I'm like working, or like for example if I'm in the studio and I'm focused on something and like there's other things going on in my life, but like in that very moment you need to be locked into that. It's like just knowing that like I got God that's taking care of like the rest of the stuff while I'm not focused on it, you know what I mean? It's like that's what really helps me stay kind of like locked in and focused, you know what I mean?
When you're here, you're here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Not
good.
there.
Everything.
Staying present and stuff.
Yeah, staying like just living in the moment too.
Yeah.
Is taking everything like people say day by day, but like taking everything like moment by moment. You know what I mean? Type of thing.
I'm terrible at that.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at that. Well, like once I'm in it, I'm in it. I'm constantly thinking about the future and trying to like future-proof things.
Yeah.
5 steps ahead. 10
Yeah,
steps
just
ahead.
trying to stay like 5 steps ahead. I'm like, okay, we got this person coming on for the podcast. Okay, we got I got this recording session happening. Oh, I got these mixes to do.
Yeah.
And I do get anxious at times, but I think what that anxiety helps me with is to like keep striving to be better. And I start figuring out ways to get the job done faster or better or something.
So it's like a motivator for you.
Yes, I believe I work that way, where like I let the anxiety and like that frustration of what you're talking about be my motivator to make things, like I said, make things better or faster or have a lot of goals, right?
Yeah.
So in order for me to achieve those goals, I need to like think about those while I'm thinking about it, I'm like anxious. So I'm like, okay, got to take fucking action now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I start planning or whatever.
Yeah, I do a similar thing with myself. I find, unfortunately, I'm a bit of a procrastinator. I work best under pressure,
Yeah.
right? So one example recently was like, I'm gonna invest in a studio. Not the craziest investment, not a big, painful investment, you could say, like one that's gonna damage my future or anything like that. But I'm gonna financially commit to running this place, and that kind of like forces me to stay accountable.
Yeah.
You know, and on top of my shit.
And how have you been finding that since opening up?
Good. It's a challenge. It's been pretty successful. Like since we opened in February, we've been open 5 months.
Wow, it feels like it was just yesterday that you opened it up.
Yeah, I remember.
Wow, it's been 5 months. That's half a year.
Yeah. Well, actually 6 months now. But it's good, man. Like my goal with it was to basically provide a space for people to be able to create seamlessly without like time constraints or worrying about like, oh, my session's done in 30 minutes and I only have half my verse done or something like that. Right? Like I'll even catch artists thinking about that stuff when I'm at Orange, right? When we're here, and I'll just tell them like, no, like don't worry about that. Like we'll get done what we need to get done. Don't worry about the time.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of like a place where I can take it the next step further, right? And just fully allow that person to achieve the flow state at their own pace.
Yeah.
I had a guy come down from North Bay a couple weeks back, and we spent 10 hours at the studio.
Nice.
Wow.
Took a freaking Greyhound to get here overnight. He left at like 3:00 in the morning to pull up for like a noon session.
That's wild.
Wow.
Yeah. But
Catch some Z's on the
like
bus.
he filmed the experience. We did a few songs. He had the flexibility to like take a break from the session. I got a bunch of chips and stuff for food, and like he was FaceTiming his boys. It's not like, oh, go all the time, right?
Yeah.
You go at a pace that's comfortable, and I think that's like the quality over quantity maybe argument there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was nice, super fulfilling, and
Nice.
that shit like means the most to me. I think when people tell me like, oh, I love that session or something like that. Like
Yeah,
that's
the best feeling.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why we call it this podcast Behind the Sound podcast is because like you don't hear about the engineers, you don't hear about the producers. Everything is you really like from the outside looking in. You really only see like the artist and then the music behind it. You don't know who did what type of thing. So it's like when you just get that like sort of like good feeling or like you get good news from anybody, just like being in the field that we're in, like being a producer, engineer, it's like it's more than the usual.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like even for a person to hit you back after a session and be like, yo, the session was dope. Like you never really get that. You know what I mean? Like you know it was dope if they call you back for another session. But like for them to just literally hit you up just on the casual, like, yo, the session was great, can't wait to get back in the studio next time or whatever. It's like that's always dope. You know what I mean? Because like it just barely happens.
Yeah. And I think what you're doing is providing a good, customer experience. It's what I'm always trying to do with, each and every person that I'm working with is to just craft that experience for them because it is a craft. It's not just something you do. You have to practice it and try different things. And, I'm always thinking, how can I make this better for them,
And think of what you're doing, like when it comes to engineering, right? Like something Anthony also ingrained in us was like, think of whatever you're doing before you decide to do something. Think of how it's going to be received on the other side, at the other end of the microphone.
Yeah.
Right. And it's all about how your customer, the artist, client, whoever, feels when you act a certain way.
Yeah.
Like
when I'm building out systems, both of you guys have seen what that looks like with Dropbox and everything, right?
Yeah, you're a wizard.
Absolutely insane.
It's like
wizard.
It's like that's what I'm trying to do is craft a very seamless online experience with people because I know how frustrating that can be, and I'm always trying to improve that. And same thing when we come into the studio, make it a better experience for everyone overall, the engineers, the staff, clients, artists, everyone.
Fire, man. Yeah, like I think one thing about Orange that's like hands down, like, people here are the best at. Us as engineers have fallen into this culture that was already here before we got here, where it's the experience matters above everything. Like, the vibe is absolutely, unquestionably the most important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, hands down.
100%.
Yeah.
Every single person, every single session, it's always about, like, they walk in, they're like, wow, I can feel the energy in the, like, as soon as I walk in here. And it's like, that's the energy you want people to be in when they're about to record a hit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, they're not going to record a hit if they don't feel the energy like that, unless they're just that good, you know?
Yeah. And I think what we can do is continue to find ways to improve that.
Yes, 100%.
With whatever we can.
Exactly.
That's some shit you can't take away from, like, an engineer studio, right? Like, that's personal to the people at that place.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exclusive, if you will.
Yeah. What else have you been, like, working on, and what are some exciting things you've been doing outside of the studio?
I've actually, so I started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay, fun.
Telling mannequin, and you, Sean.
Yeah.
as
Wait,
well,
so
a
you're
little bit
doing,
about it.
you said you were doing, was it Taekwondo before?
Yeah, growing up, I did Taekwondo for like 12 years or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're just walking around the streets dangerous.
If you really want to get into it, like, my legs are considered like a registered weapon because I'm a black belt. Like, I'm a weapons holder. I guess I don't fucking know that. Like, if I hurt somebody, if I kill somebody, I'm like, I can be held accountable for, like, armed assault.
Yeah.
Basically, or
For
armed.
kicking somebody.
If I, like, hurt them and they sue, because I, like, say, like, I've never been in a street fight before. I'm not a fighter in that sense.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not easily provoked. I'm pretty good with self-control. But if I was in a fight with somebody, and I don't warn them about, like, oh, I'm a black belt, second-degree black belt in Taekwondo, like,
Yeah.
let's not fight, because that's, like, what martial arts preaches. Like, I can be held accountable.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's, like, the U.S. has that too. I think, like, the U.K., more civilized, they're first world countries. They're like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you hurt someone, you can get in some
to-
serious trouble.
Yeah.
So you have to make a disclaimer to somebody, yo, I'm a black belt.
Yeah.
Before.
If I'm aware of what's going on, there's a responsibility there, you can say, right?
I'm just trying to picture, like, how, like, that interaction happens, right? So let's say, like, you're in the bar, right? And they're like,
okay.
They're like, yo, I don't know, you're talking to my girl or something, right? And they're like, I want to fight you. And you're like,
I want to fight you.
you know,
No, you don't. I'm a black belt.
Yeah. How
But
does that work?
you let them know you're a black belt, and they're like, I don't care.
Well, like,
now can you, like,
like, it's not that rigid.
Weird.
Like, it's not a step-by-step process. I guess the essence of it is, like, because I know I have a responsibility to, like, handle with care, if you want to call it that, like, I would try my best to de-escalate a situation, right? If there was a situation where, like, some guy was, like, attacking some person here, like, I'm not gonna be like, hey, like, stop, I'm a black belt. Like, I'll probably, like, do my best to fucking, like, separate that conflict, right?
Yeah.
And try and talk this person down or something like that. It's very dynamic, you know, and I think as long as I'm holding that, like, myself, like, accountable, I guess, with the responsibility, and not just, like, abusing, like, what I trained.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's kind of, like, the thing.
Nice.
You know, maybe I should walk around with a GoPro now, just like, I told the guy 3 times, you know?
Or a body cam. Yeah.
But so Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for me goes back to that, like, flow state. You know, I'm, like, kind of like a fiend for it at this point. I think it's just, like, the best part of life when you're just doing something and, like, you're just riding the wave of life, you know, and just going with the flow and making the most of what you can when you got it. Basically, if you can imagine, like, a person who's, like, knows what they're doing when it comes to trying to, like, choke you out in like a fighting scenario, and you're not really sure what you're doing. This is me. I don't know what I'm doing, but I have to, like, stay composed in a way where I can try and, like, solve this puzzle, like, free myself from this situation. It demands that I stay comfortable in extremely uncomfortable situations. a situation that's so uncomfortable. This person's literally trying to make me go unconscious.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously there's like a trust between the two, like a tap, right? And they'll
He's
let
not
go.
gonna-
He's not going to abuse that.
Yeah.
Some people are psychos and they might, but they'll be dealt with accordingly. Not
Yeah.
by me, by someone who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I think like that, the idea of doing that applies to so many situations. Like there's
Yeah.
been a lot of situations where I came to Orange doing music when I was working for like just coming and doing Anthony sessions where he'd just sit me in the chair, right? And figure it out. And you're like, okay, all these things are going through your mind, like, oh, this person's paying, we have X amount of time left in the session, where's the space bar, right? Like,
Where's the space bar?
is it 2 or 3 to record, you know? But
Yeah.
you just kind of have to feel it out, right? And I think that's the beautiful part of doing music too. You just feeling it out and building with what you have in the situation.
Nice.
Jiu-jitsu, I guess for me, falls into that umbrella of
Like flows.
flow,
Yeah.
you know?
That's sick.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. I think everybody should at least try it.
Take a lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't like it, you don't do it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Have you ever tried Aikido?
No. Have you?
Yeah.
Really?
Aikido was fun.
Wait, what
bro.
is that?
Aikido is where you use the opponent's energy against them.
Imagine like a guy tries to punch you in the face and you like move to the side and like you push them in a way that like they trip,
Word.
Yeah.
right? Like
Oh,
you didn't
okay.
actually punch them back, but like the guy threw his fist at you and he fell forward,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Because you
Word, I
took
get
advantage
that.
of that situation.
Yeah.
So I think also it's kind of not only helped with like the whole idea of like finding flow states, also like maybe like resetting my mind. Like talked about this with my girlfriend a lot. I'll come home from work at like 5 o'clock and I'll be like tired, you know, like mentally tired, physically tired maybe, right? And I'll go to jujitsu at 7 and I'll feel fucking
Ready to go.
wide awake at 9:30 when I'm done class.
Wow.
So it's like, but I just got my ass kicked. So it's like, why does that make sense? You know,
Yeah.
like over and over
Well, I
again.
think
The
part of-
adrenaline is rushing in there.
Yeah. Your blood is
Adrenaline.
pumping. and
Yeah.
shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What's like something you would recommend to like an upcoming engineer or producer
Artist.
or
Anybody.
anybody just like, even if it's like a life gym, what's something you would recommend?
By no means have I totally figured this out yet. Like I'm still very early in my journey, but I think I've learned up to this point that having an openness to changing situations and being flexible and very receiving of ideas is probably one of the most important things.
Mm.
You know, like how many times do you record a wrong take and the artist's like, no, keep that. Right? And you're
Yeah.
like, well, I don't think it sounds good, but he likes it. So let me when he goes for a smoke, see if I can like make it cooler.
Yeah.
If I understand his musical language a little bit more now, what he likes, what his taste is or her taste, like maybe I can help them get the best song, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
taking that what you've got and working with it, you know.
Mhm.
That's probably if you're looking to get like work with just like cool artists who love making music, that creative freedom is probably like the number one thing,
Yeah.
you know. But it's also be like not just be open to anything, but also be able to like be open-minded and receiving, but keep a session like on track. You know, like you don't want to do like an obscene amount of takes on a verse if that's not the goal. Like if you want to do a chorus and a ad-libs and like a whole song, maybe 3 songs in a session or whatever, like you got to know like when to kind of place a boundary on, okay, like let's try something else now,
Yeah.
you know?
Let's move
Yeah.
on. Come back. Yeah.
Yeah. But also do it in a way that's not like,
Making them feel
Jarring.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and making them feel a way about it.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's a gem.
Yeah. Bro, crazy. Yeah. Still something I'm learning, you
Yeah.
know? Especially I kind of like talk to people more directly, like kind of straightforward, and maybe sometimes I cut corners in my explanations. But like, so like some people are like, what the fuck's he talking about? I like that take. Whatever it is, right? But, you know, Yeah. At the end of the day, it's all energy, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for inviting me out, and thank you guys for even starting this podcast.
Yeah.
Because it's just dope to listen to. I think like when I was curious about the music industry, what I spent a lot of time doing was watching interviews of people in the music industry, namely like 40, because he's someone I really looked up to and still do to this day. I watched interviews because I just wanted to see like how his brain worked, who he was, you know, things he did, and get a glimpse into his life a little further than the beats or the piano playing at the end of his Drake songs or the mixes, right?
Yeah.
And this platform that you guys are putting together, like, is like it's like a Netflix for that. You know?
Wow.
So
Thanks.
yeah, man. Shout out to you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're feedback's been really good, and the main thing is just staying consistent. For us is it's a shit ton of work, but committed to giving to the community, and just trying to cultivate a good culture, I guess, and something that's open and inviting and that serves people well. So
Definitely doing that.
yeah, we'll just continue to do that. So, and Dion, and I think we have a little gem to drop for everybody. Yeah, so
Drum roll.
Dion's gonna be a second host for a different segment of the podcast where we talk a little bit more technical, a lot more about mixing and recording, and very specific things around technical skills or business, just to add some additional value to everybody. So not just our interviews, it would just be Dion and I just chopping it up, and we might bring on some people ourselves too, but for now that's where we're going.
We're gonna
What
nerd
type
out.
of topics? Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna nerd out.
What are you guys
Yeah.
gonna nerd out about?
I think we have a few
Sound waves.
Yeah. we have a few ideas that we've already started talking about. One is like, what is saturation and harmonics?
Okay.
What are studio etiquette? How to be a better recording engineer, I think, was one. There's a couple. We've been brainstorming.
Oh,
some
so you guys are
ideas.
going into like the nitty gritties about
We're going
like,
into
the actual
nitty-gritty.
engineering
Yes.
craft
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah.
Word.
And I'm just trying to find a way.
Oh,
where-
that's so much value in
Yeah.
that. Oh
Yeah.
man, yeah, no.
Yeah, exactly. So, we're gonna get going on that
I'm
very
gonna
soon.
listen.
So everyone, stay patient while we get that going.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun, man.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about plugins and reverbs and that kind of stuff, because I know there's people out there that are looking for that kind of stuff, and I
need
think we
that.
could fill that in. We could fill that gap there.
Yeah.
So
Fire, man. And you get to have fun doing it.
yeah,
Talking about a very niche thing that you just happen to love, you know?
I think I'm gonna learn a lot
Exactly.
too, like from doing it, because we're having to teach it and learn it again for ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And like even dive deeper, because now we're like sharing understandings of different things with other people, but we have to explain it in a way that's like easy to digest. So that calls for like basically a very in-depth understanding of what you're explaining, so that you can break it down to something simple
Yeah.
and then build upon that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna get into it.
That's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah,
That's
man.
gonna be
Yeah.
lit.
So I'm excited for getting that going soon. So
Dope.
yeah. So where can people find you on social? Drop all the links, all that.
You want me to say all that again? The socials. What are the socials? IG, French, like the language, .to. My website is seldom, SLDM.studio. If you think you like who I am, or you want to get to know me or whatever, shoot me a message on socials, and I'd love to talk to you. Anyone who's a fan of these guys is probably cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's where you can find me.
Dope.
Dope. And I am found on IG at One Mamic.
And this is _Gravy Mixes, and peace out, y'all.
Later.
Peace.
The Behind the Sound podcast was recorded at the Orange Lounge Recording Studio, located downtown Toronto.